Hey, welcome to Travel Update. I'm Rudy Maxa. I'm a travel journalist and broadcaster. With me, my colleagues in Maxitour, Jamie Lauronis and Tommy Danielson. Tommy in the blue, Jamie in the center screen. I am in southwestern France in the region of Bordeaux and on a peninsula called Cap Ferret, not Cap Ferrat, where the really rich people go on the French Riviera that's on the Mediterranean. I'm on the Atlantic side, Atlantic Ocean side of France, but it's still a pretty ritzy place. Fortunately, my daughter owns a home here because I could never afford to stay here ever. So I'm on vacation, and there's nothing better on vacation than pausing in your vacation to do some travel news. So that's exactly what we're doing. Let me start off with Tommy, who knows all. What do you got, Tommy?
Well, yeah, it's good that you're taking another one of your 3 weeks vacation, so you can relax a little bit.
3 weeks.
You have a nice weather?
Gorgeous weather, stunning weather.
All right, I want to talk a little bit about this. Is exciting for the news front. It looks like Ritz-Carlton's, and it's not a cruise line. It is a yacht line, is what they call it. So it's Ritz-Carlton's yacht collection is what it's called. And they have their maiden voyage on August the 31st. And sailing out of Athens, and they're going to Venice from Athens. That's their first gig. And I was just it's been delayed for quite a bit of time. Let me put it up on the screen so we can see a little bit.
Why didn't they use one of the other yachts in their collection?
Because they don't. This is the ship. Well, we'll talk about the ship in a minute. But this is the ship. They have one ship to begin with. Right. And it is I think it was built for somebody else. I think maybe it wasn't built for somebody else. I'm not 100% sure who it was built for. Or did they? There's a lot of noise going on, but it's been delayed for 31 months. Supposed to be an experience that's we'll get to that, but it's a yacht experience. You have a little bay in the back, etc., etc. So they have one ship for now, and obviously, so the 2 next ones looks like they're sold out. This is for the sailings in August and September, and the maiden voyage actually has room on it, which is interesting. You can go on this if you want from $11,500. It looks like it starts stops at Parga and Corfu, which is a Greek island, and then to all of. For everybody that doesn't think that likes Croatia, which I personally don't, they can do. There's a few stops there on the coast, Korčula, and it's a small ship, so we can stop at interesting ports. So it's interesting.
Wait a minute, is that $11,000 per person?
Yes, $11,000 per person, and it looks. Let's look at what's available. It looks like it's like this. Here we go. So it is the Grand Suites. Looks like that. Well, I think it's guaranteed only for the 11,000 because the smallest set you can get is like it's not. It's a pretty decent sized
stateroom.
Yeah. So as you can see, I mean, it's a full. They call it the terrace suites. It's the lowest end you can buy on this ship. I'd be interested. The one thing I want before we move on to the next thing, I want to see how are they looking out in the winter? How much are they going to be? So if we do they're going to be doing Caribbean, Mediterranean, and transatlantic for now. If we were to go for all dates available here. And see what they have, see how the bookings are doing, because we're seeing cruise lines now are starting to, they're not as hot as it was. It looks like we're going on a recession here. So, so you can start traveling with them in October 8th for $8,200. And then it seems like $7,500. Then it's going transatlantic. It looks like Lisbon and Bridgetown. So it's going across the Atlantic. And it's staying in Barbados for a cruise for $5,500, and then all of a sudden you can do Caribbean 5 nights for $4,700. Yeah, so it looks like it's doing pretty decent. So I don't know, 50. It seems like it's in the upper range of what cruises are, right? But at the end of the day, it's
More luxurious than most, of course.
right. And also the Ritz-Carlton, I see that Brian's online here, and it's actually, so I don't know if you get elite qualifying nights on it, but it's going to be a member of Marriott Bonvoy because it's a Ritz thing. So I would assume that you get money, miles per dollar or points per dollar spent like you do on your fare. And kind of like, I'm sure it's going to be kind of the same day as the Marriott Villas, right? So,
yeah.
But
Can
anyway,
you use points on this or no?
Pardon?
Can you use points on this?
Yeah, you are supposed to be able to redeem. I don't think you can yet, but it is in the works. It's definitely something they said that they confirmed that they will do. So if you got a $5,000-$6,000 to drop on a cruise ship, actually $4,700 for 5 nights, or $5,300 for is it what it looks to be the starting price. It's this one could be interesting. The Barbados to St. Martin, so you get but then again, December 4th, there might be a little bit of weather crossing the southern Atlantic there, so might not be for the faint of heart. But at the end of the day, there's some decent opportunities here to try a new cruise line for those who have the money for that. Speaking of spending money, I wanted to talk a little bit about. So we know that Disney are using the Four Seasons plane, the 757. I think it's Iceland Air, I think, that owns it, or some Icelandic company. It's a 757 with all lie flat seats, and now you can go around the world for so it's a 757, which typically has a capacity of maximum 220, 230 passengers. I think that it's a 200, so probably around 200, a little bit more north of 200 passengers. They have 75 seats on this plane, and I don't know how they get 75 seats. That doesn't add up. Do we have a 3-seater? Anyways, so it's usually so it's $109,000 for 24 days, which is actually a little bit lower than what we've seen for Four Seasons. They also use the same jets.
Is it branded with the Disney logo and all that?
It doesn't look like it to me. No. So
I can't see it. I'm on an iPhone, so I can't see it. It's got Four Seasons on it, or just Iceland Air?
No, I think they repaint it for the various reasons. I'm not 100% sure that this is the same plane, but it looks like it because it is the Iceland Air plane. You see, it's registered in Iceland, right? TF is Iceland, so it is, and also you see the Icelandic flag behind there too. So not 100% sure if this is it, but what they're pretty much are doing. They go to all the Disney parks around the world, or 12 of them. And you get, in addition to that, you get to go to the Taj Mahal, the Pyramids of Giza, the Great Sphinx, and all that kind of good stuff.
So it's clearly aimed at kids as well as adults, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. And, you're going to have your 2 kids and the parents and a couple of kids. That's, $500,000.
Well, I spent a week in Disneyland about, I don't know, 6 weeks ago, and it nearly killed me. I spent one day in Disneyland about 6 weeks ago, and it nearly killed me. I can't imagine visiting 12 Disney World parks or Disneyland parks going around the world. My goodness.
Yeah, but is it Disney parks, or is it actually going to, legitimate locations? Or I guess it is Disney.
I think
parks.
It's so it goes to the Disney parks, and it also stops. So here's the route. I put it up on the screen. You start off in California, the home of Disney, the Disneyland, and you're there for a couple of days, and then you fly to Anchorage, which I don't think there's a Disney park up there, but this old plane needs some gas. Obviously, a 757 can't make it across the Pacific, so they're doing the freight route. You go to Anchorage, and you fly to Tokyo. And Tokyo Disney is, an interesting place. It's not really that far from Narita, where I'm sure they're going to be parking it. So you can see what's included. And then they go after that. They fly to Shanghai, to Disney, I'm sure. And then to Hong Kong Disney, which is on the way to the airport. And then obviously there's nothing in Agra or where it's easy to get to Taj Mahal or in Cairo. And then you get to Disneyland Paris, and then you end up with a fuel stop in Halifax before you end up in Florida at Disney World. So minimum age 12, suggested age 14 plus, 23 breakfasts, 22 lunches, and 23 dinners. You start at Santa Ana, I'm sure, and then you end up in Orlando. So you get, I mean, I'm sure they will be taking well care of you. I take that back. It obviously looks like it's not the Four Seasons plane. Look at that on the left there. That's not Lie Flat. You're going to sit up and like in domestic first class for around the world. Ouch.
And that crew looks like Icelandair in that center picture.
Not sure, but nice. She's got a nice pot on her head there. We lost Rudy. That's interesting. Hang on. There we go, Rudy.
Sorry, it didn't sound like 12 Disney parks though. I know I got cut out there for a minute.
I think 12 stops, right? 1, 2, 3,
stops.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, there's not even 12 stops.
12
experiences, 12 right?
Experiences. Yeah, there aren't 12 Disney parks.
44 days, 68 meals, 31 sites. It looks, I don't know. It's an interesting gig. So you start in California. You do various VIP stuff. Fly to San Francisco, the Walt Disney Family Museum Tour, and then you're going to Oakland, and you are doing the Summit Skywalker Ranch. Isn't that really expensive?
I don't know. I've never didn't know. What do you know, Jamie? You know it? I didn't know anything about it.
What is that? Is that Disney's
resort
property, house or something?
I honestly don't know. I'm 50, so I'm not.
Well, they have yoga.
Melinda's totally into this stuff, but I'm really not. There you can see the seat. So it's kind of a recliner. That's premium economy at best. International premium economy, maybe a little bit more reclined, but it looks like the. You know what? It looks like the old Virgin America seat.
Okay. Well, those are
not the Four Seasons plane. Definitely not. Travel day, fly to Anchorage and fill up the plane, and then you end up in
Tokyo.
They don't even mention there will be a stopping Anchorage. That's what it says. So Tokyo, they stay at Tokyo Disneyland Hotel, and they're in Tokyo Disney for a couple of nights, and then they start. Enjoy a whimsical boxed breakfast as you travel to the airport for your flight to Shanghai. Boxed breakfast for $109,000.
A whimsical boxed breakfast. Okay.
Was it when you open it up, your eggs blow up in your face? Is that how it was? Anyways, so you go to Shanghai Disney. I mean, it's ambitious. Is China even open?
I
don't
know.
Let's look at the dates. They have a COVID thing that pops up here. Rates and dates. Here we go. $109,000. Oh, so it's next summer. Hopefully it will be done. July 9th. Middle of summer. Great time for Tokyo and Shanghai and India. Right. You know, you got 1 billion people sweating together. All right. Yeah, not enough on that. Let's talk a little bit about miles and points stuff right now. So we know that the reality of how miles and points have changed the world and how airlines are now literally running planes and running an airline, and in most cases very poorly. They are really not making money on flying. Some airlines do, but the vast majority don't. So it kind of evolved. So Advantage it's been, we're coming up on 40 years since it was founded back in the 80s. And
Advantage being American Airlines frequent flyer program. When you say Advantage.
And Advantage has, right now they're seeing, we're seeing fares are obviously, you can see the cost per average seat mile and revenue per seat mile is so. I don't know how American has the cost per available seat mile has gone up by 12.9%. That's crazy. Fuel is not that much, but that's very off compared to. It is also irrelevant, but the revenue is up for all the airlines in the U.S. And we saw United also was giving their result yesterday, and it's kind of similar. United made $329 million in the last quarter, and adjusted net income of 471. Capacity was down 50% compared to the second quarter of 2019. We can't compare with 2020 and 2021 because they were abnormal years. So capacity was down, but United had a record revenue. They have never had this much revenue in a quarter. It's wow. 12.1 billion, which is up 6% compared to their last record quarter or the same quarter in 2019. So literally what's happening is that people are paying a lot more for domestically for plane tickets. That's what's reality is happening.
But look at this headline here.
Right. And when it comes to American, it's always been an outlier here. And this also happened. Doug Parkus, famously the former American CEO, who is now sitting home watching TV, apparently he thought he wanted to share that with the world earlier this week, which absolutely nobody cares. But he said a couple of 3 or 4 years ago that after American going through bankruptcy would never ever again lose money. That's what he said. They barely was able to scrape by, and they're also now barely to scrape by. But what they're in reality, American is an airline that is selling miles and making money from that, and they don't make money. They're losing money from flying planes, and that's the reality.
Which reminds me of the quote, and I know I used this on an earlier broadcast, but back when Bob Crandall was heading the airline, and it was a recession, he said, "We're losing money on the airline, but we're making money on our magazine. Maybe I should just close down the airline and become a magazine publisher," which was a pretty true line. And you might say that, well, let's just sell miles and not have an airline.
Yeah, but the problem is that you need the airline so people can use those miles. As you can see, there's a massive liability. So the margin of selling miles is 52% is what we're talking about.
Nice.
And they generated $1 billion in cash in the last quarter from selling miles, which is a staggering number. It's a massive number. But they continue. If you read through the report, they are losing money flying planes. They are not making money flying planes, even with the record fares that we're seeing domestically. It's a catastrophically poorly run airline that continues. Obviously, we'll have to give the new guy a chance, but I just don't understand how that's possible. But at the end of the day, you're seeing the trend. You saw the trend throughout the years. The North American airlines are, and we've talked about this before, are making money from their loyalty programs. They're not making money, or they are making money, but very little, much less money. And the valuation of a loyalty program its advantage is spun off if it's a separate company. And it's owned, of course, by American, but at the end of the day, these mileage companies are worth a ton more than the airline itself, because it's attractive to have over 100 million members, to have your own currency that you can sell for various services.
And it's incredible because they have nothing. They have no physical assets. They don't have any airplanes. They just have zeros and ones representing all the miles we have stocked up in our accounts.
Correct.
And the greatest thing is, it's their currency, right? They can devalue it when they want, and so that's
right. They can play Mugabe in Zimbabwe whenever they want. So
right.
And they do.
Yeah,
and they do.
It's a wonderful world, and it also shows that obviously there are airlines now that are making money. We're looking at Ryanair in Europe had a close to €1 billion in profit. They don't have a frequent flyer program, which is idiotic if you ask me, but that could have obviously done a lot for them. But there you go. So I have the Admirals Club at LaGuardia for American Airlines. These new clubs are they're starting to get a little pretty. Jamie, they did half of it, and now they opened the second half. Is that what
I was actually up in LaGuardia 2 days ago, and I saw the one half. And the one half is, it's packed, right? Because it's just half of it open. The other half, I mean, it looks nice from what I could see. Obviously, Zach got better pictures because he could see into the other half. The issue, I think, with American right now, speaking of these clubs, it's beautiful, right? Scroll through the pictures. It looks great. There's TVs, bars, chairs, whatever. Their soft product is horrible. I mean, with a capital H. They're nowhere close to Delta. Frankly, nowhere close to United either. These cheese cubes have to go. These stale cookies. They got to do something.
Well, I don't
quick.
see any cheese cube. I see grapes, celery, and carrots.
Carrot.
Yeah. And what is that? Oh, yeah, there are cheese cubes right behind there. So this is what they're offering. So they have apples wrapped in plastic just for Rudy, and they've got some oranges, and they've got looks like some chips, and then they've got cookies and some muffins there.
Delta's got to be. Delta is, serving good soups. They're serving good entrees. They're serving great sides. They're serving great salads. I mean, I can't believe American executives aren't going into Delta lounges and going, "We are so far behind."
Yeah. Well, there you have it. That's the news there. Club is open. Big club, and LaGuardia is livable now. Last thing I wanted to talk about is there is now a push to increase the retirement age for pilots in the United States to 67 because of the pilot crisis we have right now. And there is a Let Experienced Pilots Fly Act, which a couple of yo-yos have, Lindsey Graham and Chip Roy out of South Carolina and Texas have, decided that they would they want to increase the age limit where pilots can work to 67 years old. What do you guys think about that?
I'm okay with that because I'm over 67. I'm all right with that. I don't know that I'm really okay with cutting back training, but I'm not an expert on air pilot training. So, what do you think, Jamie?
Yeah, I agree with Rudy. I think the training thing I don't like. I mean, that's just whether it's safe or not. I don't know. I think it's just like with anything, right? More training is better. I don't see a reason why not to increase the age, right? At that point, you've already got the training. You've been flying for however many years, your experience. Many of these guys are military and have, Air Force experience, et cetera. So I don't see an issue bumping that up by a year or two. I do have an issue with the front end of it. You got to be prepared for every scenario. And if you cut out a few hours and you're just not well as trained, I don't know what could happen. The experts say it's safe. Common sense, I think, says otherwise. But anyway.
Honestly, at the end of the day, I think that it's, making airlines top heavy like this is, one of the reasons why we have such massive costs and the airlines are not delivering big profits in the U.S. are the absolutely out of control pilot salaries that we have, and with an average salaries with Delta pilots close to $300,000 a year. So Rudy was lost again. That's fine, but honestly, I think that it's more important for us to train people. Adding Rudy again. Honestly, I think that it's more important for when it comes to cost for airlines, when it comes to the pilot's career, those guys who are starting out, there's a massive, especially now I'm talking about the United States. I think that it's more important to put together good training programs for pilots. One of the airlines that have done that is United Airlines. Have opened up out in Arizona at the Lufthansa Ranch there. They're now doing pilot training out there. I think it's more important to, one, train young talents to get into the industry and make it attractive for them. Two, I think that it's important that the pilot salaries in the U.S. becomes a little bit more flat. Instead of somebody making $30,000 a year in the beginning of your career and making, when you have been there for 15, 20 years, you make $300,000-$400,000. That's imbalanced. And you shouldn't have a pilot that should be struggling with his with his student loan to go to pilot school, spend $100,000 on training to become a pilot. I think that we should spend money and putting together a training program and train young talent and get young talent in and regulate the hours and do real training instead of having pilots work till they're 67. I mean,
yeah,
honestly,
let them start relatively debt free, so they don't.
and honestly, why would you? I mean, if you love your job, sure. I don't see. You have a flight attendant on American. What is she? 158 years old? That's flying around still. And
Tommy,
I
agree with you. I think this article though is more fixing the short term, right? You want to hire all these new pilots. That's great. I'm all for it, right? Train them. United's doing it, etc.
Yeah, but that's legislation
not
here,
fix.
though, man. It's legislation. It's going to be written in the law. Then, of course, what you're going to be seeing is unions are going to recognize this. I'm not afraid about the airlines, but I'm afraid that the unions are going to push for people and the seniority at 67. We're talking crazy money here. So, in reality, if air travel is going to keep being affordable and if there's going to be competition, there needs to be there is no reason why a pilot should make $400,000 a year when their younger peers are making 30, 40. That's just out of whack. And right, short term, yes, but a dispensation, if they write it into law, then that's just. I hope this doesn't pass. I have nothing against pilots flying when they're 60 and 70. But at the end of the day, it will have another couple of years where potentially an airline can have somebody 400,000 instead of having, I think that a base salary of a pilot should be probably 80 or 90. So they come into a job after they've invested 100,000 in their education, that they make some decent money, so they don't have to worry about that. And then, work their way up to like 200,000-300,000 from there. I think that's a normal trajectory. So
I would like that because I don't want to stress pilot who's got a young family and loans from pilot school and car payments and so on, who's flying and under a whole lot of that kind of stress. I mean, there's enough stress in the world without financial stress, particularly because, as you say, the wide differential between more experienced pilots and beginning pilots.
And we know that that's a fact. We know there has been 2 accidents in the United States where everybody on the plane died in the last, when was the Colgan Air crash?
In Buffalo?
15 years ago, wasn't it? I mean,
2008, 2009-ish, something like that. The pilot was based in Seattle, worked at a coffee shop to make ends meet, commutes to Newark, and flies from Newark up to Buffalo, New York, and makes grave errors when flying the plane, and not pay. And it's just a tragic situation that somebody should be put in that should be put in a situation like that. It makes me a little bit sad that that's the case, and it shouldn't. We should more focus on that. We should train people. We should pay them real money in the beginning of their career when they need it, not when they're socking away $300,000-400,000 a year. It literally is $1 million that you can make on those 2 extra years. And that's seniority is killing it. Here in the U.S., we really don't have a lot of competition when it comes to airlines. So, but that's kind of my humble opinion on that.
All right, let's wrap it up.
Yep, that's all I got for today. We are July 26th. It is a cloudy day. It looks like there was some rain this morning, which is the first time in a couple of months here in California. Rudy is in France. Jamie is in Chicago.
Baltimore now.
Baltimore, yeah.
Well, let's
keep his head down when he goes to the store.
Let's add the year to because this stays up there forever.
2022.
2022 as we speak to you live. So if you're watching this later, take this information in context.
All right.
All right.
We'll
Sorry about
tomorrow.
the drops,
Thank
you guys.
you.
All right.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.